So today we will be talking about NFL division predictions and who I think will finish first, second, third, and fourth in each division this year. And we will start with the AFC East, where we have the Buffalo Bills, the Dolphins, the Patriots, and the Jets. Um, Buffalo Bills definitely gave the AFC East something new last year by dethroning the Patriots. The Patriots have dominated this division ever since Tom Brady arrived at New England. So him leaving was very helpful for this division to crown someone new, I'd say. And that's exactly what the Bills did last year. But a lot of credit goes to them for just being a better team than most teams in the AFC, I would say. Definitely think that it's going to be a repeat this year. I have the Buffalo Bills finishing first in this division. They didn't get relatively worse. They didn't get relatively better. But they were already good enough last year. Josh Allen's going to continue to show strides and improvement like he did last year, and definitely probably going to be in the MVP race this year. They do have to account for the loss of John Brown, which is a tough loss, especially for what John Brown did for this offense. But I definitely think that slack could be picked up. And look for that slack to be picked up from Stephon Diggs, who had an amazing year last year and I think could do better. And then B, also look for Gabriel Davis, the second-year wide receiver, to try and make a difference and step up into a better role this year. And yeah, so second team I have finishing in this division is the New England Patriots. I don't think they're a whole heck of a lot better than the Dolphins. I just think they have answers at the QB. They don't have the answers, but they have better answers than what the Dolphins and Jets are proposing at quarterback. And no knock to Tua or Zach Wilson, but we have yet to see that wow factor from, not wow factor, but like, wow, this guy's a quarterback in the NFL from either one of those. And I know Zach's a rookie, and we're waiting to see what he can do. But that's tough to just throw the Jets above Patriots or Dolphins because of a top 5 quarterback, a top 5 pick. But yeah, I have the Patriots finish second because I definitely think Cam Newton's going to stay on this field, and we'll maybe get a glimpse of Mac Jones here and there. But the chances that Cam Newton is not the starting quarterback most of the year is very low. And I think they just have a great running game. Definitely have some power burst running backs, 2 young guys in Damian Harris and J.J. Taylor. 2 guys who showed that they can dominate a backfield. Obviously, you saw this past year, both of them on and off the field, but when on the field, they dominated. I think J.J. Taylor had a couple 100-yard games. Damian Harris had a couple 100-yard games, and and James White is James White, like he always is, being a pass threat out of the backfield. So their running game is definitely figured out. It's just some quarterback questions with Cam Newton, like it's always been for the past couple of years. But definitely think that they're the second best team in this East. At third, I have the Miami Dolphins. Great defense, offense. Like I said, it has the potential to be great. It's just that one question is Tua the guy. What's the plan with this Dolphins the quarterback situation? And that's what I think is the difference between them being a third and a second seed in this division, and also giving the Bills a run for their money. You look at their quarterback situation, and if they go with Tua at quarterback 1 and it doesn't work out, they have Jacoby Brissett behind them, and I just don't think that's a key for being second or giving Bills a shot for their money in this division. So, but I definitely think it's going to be close between the Dolphins and Patriots in this division. The Bills are definitely going to run away with it. Dolphins and New England Patriots are going to be right below or right above that 500 mark, probably below together. And then the New York Jets are probably going to have another rebuild year. And that's who I have coming in last in this division is the New York Jets. And for obvious reasons, it's the New York Jets. But relatively did have a great offseason. I think getting Zach Wilson in the draft was huge for them and something to on their to-do list this past offseason. They added Corey Davis, which is an amazing ad for the wide receiver core there. Give Jamison Crowder a teammate to, I don't know, take the load off of him, I guess, because there's not really that guy in New York that you can throw the ball to almost every single time, and you don't have to worry about it not being caught. But definitely someone to look out for, I think, in that receiving core is Denzel Mims, the second-year wide receiver. But yeah, that wraps up the AFC East and my predictions for it. Next up is going to be the AFC West. And I think everyone knows who's probably going to finish number one in this division. I am a fan of the Chargers, so definitely know what's going to happen. But we'll get right into it. So definitely the first seed, or I would say the winner of this division, is definitely going to be the Kansas City Chiefs. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. They probably are looking at another shot at a Super Bowl. Offensive line has been revamped, cleared it out after the Super Bowl and said we need to protect the gem. Patrick Mahomes back there, and they did exactly that, going to get an offensive line that looks to be a top offensive line in the league, top 5, top 7 at least. But yeah, Patrick Mahomes speaks for himself. I don't think I have to talk much on the Chiefs and why they are going to be the number one, because it obviously speaks for itself. The rest of the division, though, definitely had quite an awful year last year. I think the Chargers and Broncos, I believe, finished below 500, and the Raiders were right at 500 or right below, I believe. But the second person I have in this division is the Los Angeles Chargers. Justin Herbert is just an unbelievable talent, and after the way this Chargers handled this offensive line this past offseason, it's scary to see what Herbert can do with an offensive line, because you already saw what he could do with basically pillows blocking him, and not even he was not protected whatsoever, is what I'm trying to say, and he dominated. Had rookie records. The guy's unbelievable, and with the help of that new offensive line, I think this Chargers team is going to be even better. Hopefully, bringing in a new head coach, Brandon Staley, will fix the coaching issues that the Chargers have been faced with these past couple of years. But definitely going to be an exciting year for the Chargers, and see what we're capable of if healthy. That's always the if. But yeah, third, I have the Las Vegas Raiders finishing third. Definitely think they're a better team than the Broncos by a lot. They definitely added a lot this past offseason that is going to be a very benefit, especially on the offensive end. They added Kenyon Drake, who's probably going to be the best backup running back probably in the league. Maybe depending on what happens in Arizona with Chase Edmonds and Connor. But yeah, you got Josh Jacobs as your RB1 and Kenyon Drake as your RB2. That's a dominant backfield. Sorry, I was trying to think backcourt for basketball. But yeah, this team's offense has definitely gotten better. They added John Brown, like I said. The Bills had lost him. The Raiders picked him up. Definitely going to be a boost, and something that the Raiders have missed for a while, and that's receivers. Had Antonio Brown, probably biggest receiver to ever go through the Raiders in a while, since like Crabtree. But Henry Ruggs, I hopefully no sophomore slump coming from him. Kind of had a little bit disappointing rookie year. Definitely had a lot of people definitely had him pegged as one of the best wide receivers in that draft, and little did we know that Justin Jefferson showed that he was the best wide receiver in that draft. so far from the first year. Um, but yeah, this team is definitely gonna finish better than the Broncos, I believe. But the thing is that the players they have, they're good, but there's no one great. There's no dominant besides, like I said, Josh Jacobs is an amazing running back. Kenyon Drake, that's what's dominant about this Raiders team. But you look past that and you think, oh, okay, what's so great about them? And it's hard to see what's so great about them is because they don't have those great players. They don't have those takeover players. They don't have those dominant players that like you're afraid to play that day. So I definitely think that the Raiders are lacking an intimidating player, a playmaker, and a guy who can just take over a game. But definitely think they're not going to be a bad team. Probably around 500 again, I believe. Definitely think they're going to do a lot better than last year. And last but not least, probably least, but the Denver Broncos in this division, have them finishing last because it's pretty obvious what the Broncos' problem has been for the past couple of years, and that's their quarterback situation. Ever since Peyton Manning left, it's left the Broncos empty at their quarterback position. But hopefully, from what I've read and what I've heard, Teddy Bridgewater should be starting. And I say should because that's what you would think and that's what you would hope the Broncos to do. But from what I've read and seen, it's looking like Drew Lock is leaning towards getting starts over Teddy Bridgewater, which makes absolutely no sense to me. I definitely think it's almost time to give up on Drew Lock. I think he's been giving a lot of time, which I understand, and I know that people are considered bust quicker nowadays, but he's going into, his fourth year, I believe, and he's yet to show. He's showed improvements, but he still has the problems of forcing the ball, trying to make throws that shouldn't be made, just not having that IQ, I'd say. He's still missing, and you could say that's something easy to fix, but there's just little things here and there, like his accuracy at times and him trying to hit his receivers, and definitely a lot of little things that affect the big problem of him having a little bit of low IQ when it comes to being in tough situations and stressful situations. But like I said, I would hope Teddy Bridgewater would start, and that's what every Bronco fan I think should want. But who knows what's gonna go on? Wide receivers, Jerry Jeudy. Man, if he had a quarterback, I don't know what he probably could have gave Herbert and Justin Jefferson run for their money for Rookie of the Year last year. Very great player. Routes are very clean and is definitely going to be someone who should break out their sophomore year if he can get the ball in the right opportunities and is hit. And I think Teddy Bridgewater can do that for them. And yeah, Broncos fan, Aaron Rodgers, Deshaun Watson, you're good. We don't have to worry about quarterback because Deshaun Watson and Aaron Rodgers is coming to Denver. But I wouldn't hope too much on that. But I would go with Teddy Bridgewater. Broncos coaching staff, listen to me now. Go with Teddy Bridgewater, please. Just it's obvious. But yeah, that's the AFC West for you. Next, we are going to have the AFC North. Definitely the more powerful AFC division. And by powerful, I mean more well-rounded, and most teams in here are probably going to be fighting for the top position. So with this one, I'm going to start from the bottom, because it's easier. For the AFC North, I have the Cincinnati Bengals finishing fourth. Definitely they're the odd team out in this division after what we saw last year between the Steelers and the Browns and the Ravens all fighting for that top spot, and two of the three getting a playoff spot. But the Bengals Hopefully, Joe Burrow, no problems. I would love to see him back on the field for a whole season and see what he could do healthy. Joe Mixon went on the field as a dominant running back, top 10 running back. But it's just that if question if he could stay healthy. I am very, very excited, though, to see this wide receiver core play. Definitely think they have a talented young wide receiver core. T. Higgins, who had an unbelievable rookie year, especially being drafted, I think it was the second round, I believe. I think so. And adding Jamar Chase, I have Jamar Chase high in my Rookie of the Year predictions. Definitely think him going back to Joe Burrow is going to help a lot, and I think Joe Burrow is going to look to him as a, I want to say safety net because he's a rookie, but he's going to look to him a lot because of how comfortable that chemistry feels with him. But other than that, the Bengals don't have too many bright spots to look forward to. Their defense is still very questionable. Their offensive line, please pray for Joe Burrow. But yeah, they're definitely the odd team out, and it's easy to pick them out as the last team in this division, the worst team as a division, I'd say. Okay, and then at third, this was kind of a tough one, but I hate to say it, but I do have the Baltimore Ravens at the third spot. But just because I have them at the third doesn't mean that they're not going to have a great season. I have them going over 500 this year, so definitely going to be in the playoff picture. Lamar Jackson is Lamar Jackson. We all know him. Definitely going to get better. Definitely is going to fix his throwing. Is a freak of nature when it comes to running the ball. And questions with the backfield. Hopefully they could figure out who's going to be their dominant number one, but I wouldn't doubt it if we saw a committee out of the Ravens. Wide receiver core, adding Rashad Bateman in the draft was, I think, very good for them, especially Lamar Jackson, who definitely needed another guy to throw to. Definitely going to help Marquise Brown get more often and get more looks because they're going to be wanting to put their attention on someone else rather than just Marquise Brown, who had a rough second year, but definitely a dominant vertical threat for the Ravens. Defense is still the defense. You got Marlon Humphrey there anchoring that defense and is dominant. And you have Marcus Peters in the secondary, who's going to be an amazing cornerback. Sorry, got to emphasize that enunciation. But yeah, Patrick Queen at your linebacker. It just goes on and on and on and on with this defense, man. It's Calais Campbell. It's ridiculous. They're stacked everywhere. And I think this team is going to go as far as Lamar Jackson could take them. Hopefully, he could get back to his MVP year. I know last year he didn't have an off year, but it was an off year compared to his MVP year the year before. But I definitely think he can get back into that realm of being an MVP. In this division, at the 2, I have the Pittsburgh Steelers. Steelers, last year I wasn't too high on them, especially the way they started. I watched a lot of their games close up, and just the way they refused to run the ball was very difficult to watch, especially in moments when they would give their RB3 more chances at the goal line than a Pro Bowl running back in James Conner. Several times, I think there was games where James Conner only got 5 touches and their RB2 and RB3 got more than that, which was just ridiculous. And I understand that passing is becoming the dominant thing in the NFL, but it was just too dominant for them, and they had no running game. And I think that's why later in the season people kept figuring them out and being able to stop them and get more and more interceptions on Big Ben. But I still think that they're the second best team in this division, maybe even the best, hands down. They have talent up and down. They have they nailed the draft pick with Najee Harris. People have already seen the tweets about him not wanting to go home, him staying so late at the work facilities, and him just being his work ethic is just ridiculous, and that's all you can ask for. And that's if he gets the opportunity. That's why I say if the Steelers run the ball, he is going to be a dominant running back in the NFL. First year, you've seen what running backs can do coming out of their rookie years, and they're not even poised to be. Like, you look at James Robinson last year, he wasn't supposed to do anything. Look how dominant he was. Now, take a look at Najee Harris, who is a first-round pick, and ask yourself, how dominant is he going to be, if he can be dominant? And that the answer is very dominant because of just his ability to just split the offensive line and just use his power to get to the end zone. At 6'2", 230 pounds, he's a force, and definitely in the right opportunity and thrown into a great opportunity with the Steelers if they give him the ball. The wide receivers are still the wide receivers for this team. Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool, Juju re-signed. Definitely a dominant wide receiver core coming back. Definitely a top 5 wide receiving core. And who I have finishing first in this AFC North is the only team left, and that is the Cleveland Browns. Definitely think that they're the dominant team in this division, even though I do think that the Steelers, Browns, and Ravens are probably going to be 1, 2, 3 games apart by record at the end of this year. I don't know. I feel something big coming from Baker Mayfield. Nothing like MVP year, but definitely something better than what we've seen of him. Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt probably don't. I said this earlier. I forget what backfield it is, but this is probably the most dominant 1-2 punch in Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. You're looking at 2 Pro Bowl running backs basically, and it's going to be interesting to see them play again, because definitely think both of them are going to get over 1,000 yards, which being incredible to see as an NFL fan. Odell Beckham Jr., hopefully he can come back, be relatively the same, be relatively Odell, but it's an ACL injury, and you never know with those. Their offensive line, still the best offensive line in the game. It doesn't get better than this. The offensive line is absolutely just ridiculous. After adding Wills Jr. last year to that offensive line, it was over. Their defense is incredible. Adding Jadeveon Clowney, Myles Garrett is still Myles Garrett, and someone to look out for the Defensive Player of the Year. So yeah. The Browns are definitely, I think they're just more well-rounded team than most of the other teams, defensively and offensively. Don't forget the Cleveland secondary is absolutely disgusting. But yeah, that's the AFC North. Last but not least, we have the AFC South. This is not a very exciting division. Only thing very exciting to see is Julio Jones in Titans uniform, which would lead me to saying that I do have the Tennessee Titans finishing first in the AFC South. Definitely a top 5 offense coming. Julio Jones, Derrick Henry, A.J. Brown. It's going to be disgusting. And the AFC team should definitely fear that. Ryan Tannehill has found his team, has found his coaching staff, has found what he is successful in, and all props to him. This team just speaks for itself, and more importantly, the offense speaks for itself. After I just can't get enough of saying they added Julio Jones. It's just ridiculous. Definitely someone that all teams would have loved to have, even if they didn't need him. At second, it's tough. It's tough because it's not really tough, but at second, I do have the Colts. you could say, oh, the Colts were so good last year, they were dominant, and yeah, they were good, but they weren't dominant. If you look at all their wins, not a whole lot of, um, most of them were fairly close, and I don't know. The Colts are just a team that's, like I've said before with other teams, they just don't have that guy like you're intimidated to play him by. You're scared to go up against this, and the only thing I would say is that you're intimidated by is this defense. This defense is what makes this Colts team. Um, DeForest Buckner, um, Darius Leonard. You got so many. You got I don't remember the rookie they drafted last year. I don't remember. They added Xavier Rhodes, so he's gonna bring some kind of veteran outlook to that secondary. Definitely gonna be a very great help. Yeah, and I definitely have the Colts finishing second in this division. I'm very excited to see what Carson Wentz could do. Hopefully, he can find his career again. It'd be great for the guy. At third, I have the Jacksonville Jaguars. Them and the Texans, not much to talk about. Jaguars, only thing you could really talk about is, hey, Trevor Lawrence this, Trevor Lawrence that. That's all that this Jacksonville is going to be this year, is seeing what Trevor Lawrence can do for this team. And see if he's the guy, and more than likely he is definitely going to be that guy. And I think this year is just going to be a setup year to put Jacksonville in the state of mind, like, okay, we have something here. I just don't think it's going to be there like, oh, we found this, let's go with it, let's dominate this year. They're just not that team yet, and especially with not having a whole lot of help around Trevor Lawrence. And last but probably least is the Houston Texans. Deshaun Watson or not, this team is not talented. Running back situation, don't even know what's going on with it. Phillip Lindsay, David Johnson, Mark Ingram, Rex Burkhead. It's just, then you got your wide receivers. You don't even got Will Fuller back. And props to Brandon Cooks for probably being the best wide receiver 3 to be a wide receiver 1 for an NFL team. So congrats on that, Brandon Cooks. But there's just no talent here, and especially if Deshaun misses this, they're gonna go from being a 4-13 team to probably a 2-15 team. So not much hope with or without Deshaun, but obviously having Deshaun will help a lot. But the chances of that are very, very low, and yeah, just don't see that happening. But that is going to round out my predictions for the the AFC East, AFC West, and AFC North and AFC South divisions. Thank you guys for listening. I will catch you later.